Victor 3, hold the air. I see the subject inside. Looks like he's got a gun in his hand, and he's pointing at the clerk. Guys, I've got the south covered behind you. Watch the crossfire. Running southbound, Rob. He's coming right at you.
All units, Victor 3, Victor 5 are fighting with one. Hold the air.
Victor 3, slow down. Subject in custody. Firearm recovered.
Copy that. Command clear. Subject is in custody for the robbery. Firearms recovered.
25 years apiece, working the street as street cops. We loved what we did all those years. And now in retirement doing this podcast, and we always wanted to have a way to have the feeling, even though it's not the same as what it was, have the feeling now and again that we're having a meaningful conversation or something that we did mattered. Because as cops working the street, man, there is no better feeling than looking at a situation and knowing your influence counted, right? And how the crazy, through the thinnest of threads ever, we were approached by a survivor of the MSU shooting through watching the episode that we recorded with Katie Booth. Yep. And because Katie Booth gave her perspective on, our response from the law enforcement side that night as the cops who stormed the Union building at the time that the shooter was inside. And through the magic of the internet, right, a survivor saw that episode and reached back and said, how do I meet these guys? I want to be able to have a cup of coffee with them and share our experiences from survivor and from the law enforcement response. And it has been an incredible, humbling opportunity to hear her perspective. Yep. And we are so blessed to have her in the studio with us here today. Why don't you kick off who we've got here?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't believe you.
Fair, as you shouldn't.
When you told me, I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, that's wildly impactful. Like, when you said that we had someone that wanted to do this, I didn't believe you. And then when truth revealed itself, I was like, this is going to be so much fun. So, yeah, in the studio today, we have McKenzie Wilson. She was a survivor of the 2023 mass shooting, unfortunately, on the campus of Michigan State University. And she's brought a special guest with her today.
Yes.
McKenzie, if you would.
Yeah. So, as you know, they introduced me. I am McKenzie Wilson. I was in Berkey Hall 114. That was directly impacted by the shooting. Want to introduce yourself?
I'm McKenzie Wilson's mom. You lose your identity, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
It's not. I'm Tracy Wilson. So my husband and I were sitting on 8/24 on February 13th, and I get a text from McKenzie that reads, "Mom, I love you. I'm in an active shooter in class. Please tell everyone that I love you, and I'm trying my best."
Holy smokes.
What was the first thought that came through your mind when you saw that?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Then this can't be a joke, right? They know better than that. And then it was just, get your shoes, we're going. Just get your shoes, we're going.
Wow.
Yeah.
We had lots of friends and other police officer friends who were advising us on the way up to Michigan State, which was truly the fastest drive we've ever done in our life.
Can't imagine.
Yes. We are an hour and a half away from campus. So when we got that call, and we kept her on the phone the whole time.
Yeah.
If you look at the text string, you can see that she texted me at 8:24, 8:25. We were on the phone, and we didn't hang up until 3:13 when I got her in my arms.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So that's the phone call no parent ever wants to get.
I cannot
Absolutely.
imagine.
That is the phone call you don't want to get.
Yeah. And there's a lot of parents that do get that text, and not just on Michigan State's campus, but I hope I never see another one.
Yeah. What was the last part of that text?
I'm doing my best.
That's so dope. that is.
I'm doing my best.
That gives me goosebumps. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like in that moment where adrenaline and
everything
tunnel
on the line.
vision.
Literally, your life is on the line.
Yeah.
Everything's on the line.
Some people respond in different ways, right?
That's right.
Lock up, and they cannot function.
Yeah.
You obviously come from amazing parents. I'm like, no, I'm not even kidding. I mean, that should be on a bumper sticker. You know what I mean?
right.
Like Rob and I have policed thousands of calls where we've gone to homes where mom and dad, and what's going on with your kid? And none of them said, well, I'm going to try my best. You text your mother.
Yeah.
And I got to believe that the time was just like, you couldn't rationalize it anymore. And it was 3:00 was when you guys were actually got the chance to touch your daughter.
Yep. We sat across. Once we got on campus, we had a friend of ours who was a state trooper and had advised us what to do, what not to do. Mm-hmm. Bless his heart. And we found a spot that we could see directly across, like we could see her in the museum. And we just sat there and waited and waited and waited and waited. And we were obviously, my husband had his phone and I had my phone, and everyone and their uncle was trying to help us and to communicate, but I never hung up from McKenzie.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
How long was it after the shooting where she became detailed to either of the parents in conversation? Like when did she open up to you guys about what she saw or what she...
In the text, the second text that she sent me, she said, Mom, I think I see dead people in my class. I think I saw brains. And I said, honey, just don't look at that. Look at the people who are moving. Try to help where you can. Just help the people around you. Don't look at that. Literally, don't look at that. But yeah, I remember you saying that, huh?
Yep.
I think I see brains, and I think people died in my class.
Yeah.
So
obviously, right, the worst experience of your life.
yeah.
Fast forward, we're at graduation with you guys.
Doggone right.
And
What an honor to have all of you guys show up. Truly, what an honor.
It was one of my favorite experiences so far this year. We had such a good time.
Yeah, it was fun.
And to see
It was so
you guys beaming with how proud you were. Not all these kids that have gone through traumatic situations like this can land back on their feet and graduate from the university the way she did, and that you'd be applauded for that.
Thanks. You know, Kaz, I got to tell you, that was wonderful. Don't get me wrong. 2 nights before was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was when Kenzie, starting in January, another email chain, like, we need to do something for the survivors. We need to get together. We need to, this is graduation. We need to get the survivors together. And kudos to Michigan State. They jumped on it. They provided a beautiful, safe space. And she had so many of the survivors, even the young man who was shot and was paralyzed for a long time. He even showed up and he was able to walk to the front of the classroom. And I have pictures to show you guys.
Come on, man.
And with his, I believe it was his dad.
Yeah.
But he was there.
Oh my God.
Another young lady who was, a shot in the arm, she was there. There were quite a few survivors. And then the president of the college canceled a trip to go to Florida just so that he could say a few words at this gathering. And then he said, I heard it was a student that did the organization, and they all turned to Kenzie. Wow, and her face, I don't think I've ever seen somebody turn that red before.
love it.
And that was really special. But for a parent to sit back and then watch the students coming up to her and thanking her for making, over the months, over the years, over the last 2 years, making a spot at least available so that they could get together.
So you guys sent your daughter to MSU to get a Bachelor's of Arts in Social Work, and she graduated also with a PhD in Courage.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Fact.
I would like to say that was free of charge, but that was
No.
that cost a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of times we look at things that are traumatic and awful, and then once we recover from them and we're on the better side of it, we don't give ourselves enough credit for developing a different level of strength within ourselves. And there's no question that this event is going to precede McKenzie in her life. And so when someone else needs the kind of help that she got, it's going to just be second nature for her to offer that. Cannot wait. And I hope that as many survivors that watch this podcast, we want to spotlight your strength, your tenacity, your courage.
This is Mackenzie's vision. And that is what is the most profound part about this whole tribute is we have a survivor. Here she is looking at graduation, crossing the stage and looking back and saying, who's like me and wants to be heard?
Yeah.
How do I get others to have some closure to? What field you're going into is such a perfect fit for you is because you genuinely care.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the most genuinely caring police officer I've ever seen in my life is John Cosme. All right. He connects with people unlike anybody can that I've ever seen. And you will have that gift too because it comes naturally to you. Mackenzie, Tracy, thank you for your perspective from someone who was not only there that night, but how this affects mom and dad. Salute to you, Mackenzie, for thinking of others in the absolute life or death situation.
Yep.
That is truly, truly inspiring.
Thank you.
Today's a special day. We typically, so far on our podcast, we've talked a lot about law enforcement stuff. Obviously, Rob and I are both retired from the Lansing Police Department, each of us having served 25 years. Today's episode takes a different perspective, but it also involves law enforcement in a big way. We're gonna talk about the mass shooting that happened at MSU 2023, February 13th. And in our studio today, we have a survivor of that terrible incident. And we were able and graced enough to have her on the show because she watched one of our previous podcasts, which made Rob and I feel amazing.
It felt so good. That's what it's as cops, we know the feeling that knowing that it mattered.
Yep.
There's no better feeling in the world, man.
better.
And for her to come back and say this mattered to her, it's irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable and validating in so many different ways. So we're going to have a nice conversation. It's going to be an emotional conversation, I'm sure. But we want to touch on her experience, how she survived that terrible incident, and pushed forward and graduated this year. We got a chance to go to that graduation, and we're going to share some photos with you in this podcast. That was a very, very cool event to sit there at the Breslin Center and celebrate her graduation. And the field that she's going into that she'll have a chance to explain is amazing, especially after this terrible event. So in our studio today, we have McKenzie Wilson.
Welcome, welcome, sister.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm super excited to just kind of hang out with you guys and talk the talk.
Yes.
Yeah. So you came from Paw Paw, right?
Yes. So
Graduated from Paw Paw.
I have lived in Paw Paw my entire life.
Yeah.
Never moved. Grew up in Paw Paw. Lived on a lake. So my hometown is based around a couple of different lakes, but we grew up in one of the side lakes and went to high school at Paw Paw.
All right. So brothers, sisters?
I have one brother and one sister, and I am the baby of the family.
Oh,
so
boy.
little spoiled, you could say, but definitely I'm very grateful for having both two older siblings, could learn from their mistakes.
Okay. Are you the only alumni of Michigan State, or?
No, both my siblings actually went to Michigan State and graduated.
Nice.
So my brother graduated with accounting and business, and so he is over in Utah using that. And my sister graduated with social work, same as me.
Nice. And your degree is a Bachelor of Arts in Social Work?
Yes.
Your goal is to become a clinical therapist, right?
Yes. So my hope is to, when I graduate from my master's, is to go into clinical work and hopefully will assist law enforcement as well as veteran, active, and non-active military individuals.
So if you can help me with the timing of this, was this always where you were geared to like you were moving forward this type of clinical work?
Yes. So clinical work has always kind of been in my eyesights for that, for sure. But I never really went for first responders until following the shooting. But I was always very interested in helping veterans, my father being a veteran.
Okay, so dad's a veteran, so you had interest in that type of clinical work.
Yes.
And then you experienced the awful shooting, and you want to be part of helping first responders.
Yes.
That's dope. That's incredible.
Thank you.
I don't know that I could be in college and be geared towards something, and then a terrible act happens, and then you actually get more focused in that field. I think that says a lot about who you are. I really do.
Thank you. Yeah.
So then you graduate from Paw Paw, you go to MSU. So no pressure on you to graduate, right?
No, not at all. No. They said, she's got this, I guess.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Your mom is in clinical work, right?
Yes. So she's a psychologist in Paw Paw.
Wow. And how long has she practiced?
25 to 30 years.
Yeah. I'm going to be completely honest, Rob and McKenzie. When we went to your graduation and I met your mother, I wanted to talk to her.
No.
like dust the couch off. Like, hey, you got a minute?
Yeah, dude.
It's scary. It happens to everyone.
She had me hooked to conversation within minutes that I didn't even know. Yeah, she has a very warm pitch, a very warm.
Yes, she does.
temperament.
Very approachable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super
Yep.
approachable.
Yep.
Yeah,
We've always had a little hand signal whenever her clients came up to us in the grocery store being like, hey, it's like, just so you know, this is therapist mom coming out.
yeah. So she had to wear a different hat right in that
Yeah.
moment. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So going to MSU, for all intents and purposes, your freshman, your sophomore, your junior years are just a regular college kid.
It was actually my sophomore year.
Was it?
Yep. So
Okay.
it was spring of sophomore year that it happened.
Oh, okay.
So I was
All right.
halfway through college, and the first 2 years were pretty normal, going out and everything, frats, having explored like the university and everything, meeting new friends. But definitely it was a big change when it happened in spring of 2023. So.
Yeah. Wow. Now I can't speak on it. I didn't respond to that incident. Rob did, and Rob had a front row seat to that terrible thing. How do you like, you're going to school and everything seems to be the way it's supposed to be, and that incident happens. I mean, like, can you take us through like what was the morning like of that? Do you remember the morning of that day?
Yeah, I slept in. So that morning was a noon. But I had a very late class, and it was actually, I was with my roommate going to get her phone replaced. She had broken it and was getting it replaced. And so we went to the Apple store over in the other town, over.
Yeah.
And I had the book on Cuba that we were learning in that class for. We were learning the history of Cuba.
Okay.
Very wild thing to be learning about, it was very fun. I really enjoyed his class. And so I was literally in, having woken up at noon, about 3 o'clock, I was going with my roommate to the Apple store. I was sitting and reading through the book, so because we had a test the following week, and I remember meeting one of the nicest guys at the Apple store. He was super sweet. And then we get back. It's later. I eat dinner in the dining hall in Brody, and then I walk to class. And it was slowly getting darker. It's February, obviously. It's getting darker, and we were very close to the end of class when the shooting happened. Okay. This was 3-hour class.
my God.
3-hour night class. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
I was actually texting my friend asking her, do you want to go see the new Puss in Boots movie?
Mom and Dad's money hard at work.
Yeah. But she's describing the absolute most normal day in the life of a student in college. Could not be more relatable. We've all had classes like that. Just tuned out and then what?
Following that was it was getting close to the end of class, and we maybe, because it was around 8 o'clock that our class ended at closer to 9, 8:45. So we had 45 minutes left, and so we were all pretty tuned out. And then we hear what my first instinct was fireworks down the hall.
So your class is in Berkey Hall.
Yes.
Okay,
so
got it.
There was a few doors before the one of the like entrances to Berkey, and that hall led from Grand River. So Grand River being the main entrance, and then you walk into Berkey Hall just right off the street. And before you even get to our class, there's about 1 or 2 doors maybe before you got to our class. It was a pretty empty hall at that time, maybe 3 other classes going on at that time, but they were further down the hall. And so from that, we hear popping down the hall. Like what I assumed was fireworks. I grew up a little more country than others.
Yeah.
But my first thought was some idiot was putting fireworks in the building.
Yep.
Wow.
It's college. It's unfortunate, an option.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it kept going. And I realized that wasn't what fireworks do. And I immediately got down to the floor. Because my first thought after hearing too many pops from a firework was it's a shooting. It's a gun. And so I've gotten down on the ground, and I didn't know this at the time, but my friend who I sat next to saw me go down first, and then she followed. And we were just on the floor, hands and knees pretty much, trying to hide from any gunfire. I don't remember much of the like sounds and such. I was kind of more focused on texting my family, as well as checking in on the people around me during that time. So it was something I didn't notice was the consistent shots through the classroom. But it was very fast. Like, I think maybe a minute, probably in real time, from all the shots. And then I was texting my mom. I was on the floor, saw her contact first, pressed it, said something along the lines of, I'm in a shooting. I love you guys. Tell the family I love them, and sent. Super quick, super small.
How? I mean, that's a unique thing. I mean, not everybody can go default to that, you know. And I think that's incredible. And I'm not just saying that because you're here with us. Panic is Rob and I have seen panic in many different ways. You're a college kid and you're processing this within seconds of hearing what you think's fireworks, and now you're on the ground, and you have the fortitude to get on your phone and say something the way you said it. I mean, how large was how many kids were in your classroom?
It was a pretty small class. Maybe 25 total, maybe 20 in the full class list.
Yeah.
But people didn't show up a ton to class, so maybe 15 were in the classroom at the time. So fairly small class. Majority were in the back of the class too.
So clearly you have an incredible relationship with your family.
Yes, very close.
That comes right in your mind, and you're like, damn if I'm not going to say this if something terrible happens.
Yeah.
Do you remember if faculty, anyone went into what you could remember as like a protocol? Did you see like after a while the attempt to lock doors, or people kind of fall into this like survival mode, or
Yeah, so it was probably after the gunfire stopped. And it was maybe a minute of just silence, and then people started moving.
yeah,
Of like immediate, like, holy crap, this is happening, to we're moving.
yeah,
I know that in the back of the classroom, I stood up at this time. I was standing, looking around the classroom pretty much. And someone from the back of the classroom ran to a bunch of the windows, trying to see if any of them would open and everything. And our professor, who unfortunately was in the front of the classroom and watched how everything happened, he ran to the front door, because there was 2 doors to this classroom, one in the back and one in the front. He ran to the front door, closed it, and was holding the door closed and like ducking down so he couldn't be seen out the window. And our professor yells to the young man that was running along the windows, being like, go to the top windows and break them, because there's no bar to like stop someone from going through them. Unlike the bottom windows where there was a, like, you could only open them so much.
Yep.
Not enough to put a person through whatsoever.
yeah,
So from that, seeing my professor kind of going into probably no protocol whatsoever, but strictly looking to protect his students.
yeah,
But seeing the other students that I could see and hear, there was one student, there was actually multiple students in the back that where more of the students were hit, and 2 that died. They covered them immediately. They were, from what I could hear, they were asking for tourniquets, they were asking for belts, pretty much anything to help out. Students were taking off shirts, coats, sweatshirts, anything to assist in kind of slowing the bleeding. And then following that, they were able to break open the window, and students were able to leave through there. Something I didn't know until my friend, she was able to jump out the window, and she told me this later, but there was a young man at the bottom of that window, because there was a fairly large drop, even though we were on the first floor, of he was catching the students. Another student at the bottom of that window catching other students trying to flee was something that I hadn't expected, but it was really...
That took a lot of guts too.
Yeah.
Man, did it ever.
To stay there and not just take off running.
Yeah, because everything in you at that point is, I'm out, I'm safe, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But for somebody to stop and look back and be that critical of a link, thinking of others in that moment, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot like your text, right? You thought of your parents, right? And then this kid's like literally not leaving and catching students as they're jumping out of a window.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you eventually jump out the window yourself?
No. I stayed in the classroom because as I stood to like follow my friend, someone was looking out the back door, the one that he fired through, and was saying that he was coming back. And my first thought was to get back down again. My friend was already crawling out the window, and so I didn't follow, but I saw a foreign exchange student was in the same row as me, and assuming that he was coming back, I like grabbed her and brought her back down with me. And I, like, for the rest of the time that we were in that classroom, I think it was me next to this woman and just trying to make sure that if anything happened, I knew that I'd at least help one person. In the back of the classroom, there was 2 young men running around the classroom hoping to get any kind of belts or any kind of assistance, pretty much, before anything else. After probably like 30 seconds to a minute. When he didn't come back into the classroom, I like was on my like knees, and I like stood up with another student, and I point to the back of the classroom where there's a longboard, and I said, "Closed door, use the longboard." And I hear another student say, "Has anyone called 911?" And my first thought was just call 911, because I've heard so many stories where like 911 calls are like overflowing, where there's too much, but also if you don't call it, they don't know.
Right.
So in that moment, it was like, just call it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just call.
Where were you at, Rob?
So I was in the jail, the Lansing jail, doing an in custody report with Katie Booth and a handful of others.
Yeah.
And we were all together, and that allowed us to kind of respond as a team, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because we were in separate cars, but when the call came in and it was dispatched, and by the way, McKenzie, side note, you mentioned 911. There are so many things to be proud of from the response effort that night. And the Ingham County Central Dispatch was 10 out of 10. They could not have done a better job. There's not a event in history in Michigan that has tested a 911 call center more than that night, and they absolutely rose to the occasion and beyond, and so salute to them.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah, shout out to them. So we responded, and so coming back to you, McKenzie, so you hear the shots, and then you realize these shots are coming in our classroom, the classroom that I'm in, and students that I'm in this room with are shot, and some of them very, very critically wounded. And so people are trying to come up with a makeshift triage, it sounds like, to try to do what they can to buy time for medics to evac them to get them medical attention. So as that is unfolding, then what happened from your perspective?
From that, we were just waiting, pretty much. We couldn't move any of the chairs. They were bolted to the ground, so there was no way to like create more space. I was looking around just on the floor and everything to see if like I could find anything, or if I have no idea what I was looking for, if I'm honest. I was just looking around, feeling completely out of place. I remember looking back at a couple rows behind me and just seeing a pool of blood. And I remember walking down closer to the window side of the room and seeing a group of my students and I, while they were all like looking over someone, chunks of flesh and just carnage, pretty much. And like I returned to the girl that I was just trying to make sure that she was okay. And then SWAT came in. They were checking to see like what was going on, if the shooter was in the room or anything like that, and they were checking like what was going on. And from that, they were telling us that if you weren't wounded, helping the wounded, or like in any other like position to where you were critically harmed, to leave the room. And I turn to the girl next to me and I say, grab all your things, we're not coming back.
Yeah.
And so I grab my coat, my backpack, she grabs her things. And as we're leaving, we're like going down this like hallway, super long hallway. And there are students that don't have shirts on. It's February, there's snow on the ground, it's freezing. And so I just give them my coat, very little conversation going on, being like, take it. I have a sweatshirt on, it doesn't matter to me, take it. And so throughout the next 30 minutes of us standing outside of Berkey. EMTs come to check on us. I think I remember overhearing a couple different students that were helping others and passing around my coat that were trying to stay warm as blankets were giving out. One EMT walked up to a young man that had blood kind of running down his face and like matted in his hair. And the EMT asks, are you okay? Were you hit at all? And he goes, no, it's not my blood.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a little punch to the gut afterwards.
Yeah.
Like after I've calmed down, which was the next day.
Oh, I'm sure.
But from that moment, it was about 30 minutes before we were moved to the museum that was right next door. In that museum, we stayed there for the rest of the time until the shooter was deceased.
Yeah.
And we stayed in there pretty much just sat with FBI around us and pretty much everyone else there.
Did it feel? I've heard a lot, being in law enforcement, we hear a lot of things, and we see things, and one of the common things is it felt like forever until SWAT showed up, right? Did you get that feeling, or was it just such a traumatic moment in your memory that you can't recall, like wanting? Did you ever get to the point where it was like, what the hell is taking them so long, or wow, they got here so fast, or whatever it was?
I'll be honest, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
there was probably no thought in my mind of when is the police getting here, because I think I just poured my entire focus into this one person, strictly just ignoring the fact that I could have been hurt in that sense and everything like that. But it was just the focusing on another person was making it easier for me to feel like I was helping in a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're getting out shout outs to dispatch, and obviously they earned it on this one, but shout out to your parents, because you come from the kind of stock where their child responded in a way that was courageous and useful, and then to the other kids too that were peeling off their shirts and trying to make tourniquets. I mean, we Rob and I were in law enforcement for 25 years apiece, and we responded to active shootings. We've seen all kinds of stuff, and a well-trained person still has to navigate through a lot of emotional control. You guys weren't trained for that. You're in a college setting, being a college kid, and still somehow, some way, they muster up enough energy. That's some real hero stuff. You know what I mean? That's real hero stuff. The only perspective that I can give is I was at home and I heard about it. My instinct was grab your vest, grab your sidearm and your firearm and your radio, and get up there and find something to do to improve the situation. And in those seconds, right when it was happening and right after it happened, it's exactly the same thing you guys did. So you were the police in that situation, and that's pretty cool.
So after the dust settles and you're informed that the shooter is been neutralized, and for all lack of a better term, the area is secure and you're safe again, right? Walk us through some of your takeaways after the incident. Yeah.
After the incident, just kind of following right after we heard it, we were listening to Police Scanner. My parents were up in East Lansing before they even shut down the roads. So they were there.
Yeah. My guess is, because we know how this feels as dad, my guess is, how far away is Pop-Off?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. I'm guessing dad got there before SWAT.
Yeah.
Hour and a half away, right?
Yeah.
I know I-94 to 69 was a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a heat-seeking missile.
There was a funny story that came out of it. Was my sister was watching my parents move on like as we were tracking them.
Yeah.
Just like Sonic, dude.
Oh yeah, man.
My sister goes, "Dang, I keep losing them," and my aunt, who's like with her, goes, "That's because your father hasn't pressed off the brakes."
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sure it was right to the floor.
Yep. The whole way. It's not like there's going to be anybody to pull you over on the highway. They're all going to MSU.
Yeah.
Everything we had,
The-
statewide, pretty much. Everything we had. It was the most profound response in the history of Michigan.
Yeah, our friends who are officers, even they were trying to keep my parents updated as much as possible. They were up there super quick, and so when we were allowed to leave, after giving like exit interviews, kind of from like saying what we saw and everything, we were allowed to leave. My parents were pulled right up there, and both of them out of the car, and just biggest hug I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah,
Man, I bet.
and to put it in perspective too, I mean, we got the time frame. The shooter wasn't neutralized till 3 hours later, right? So we're talking about how fast Pops was driving to get to you from Pawpaw. That's a third of the time that this guy was still at large.
It's still not safe.
It's still not safe.
Right.
So
That's a great point.
He gets
That's a great point, guys.
down the highway,
Yeah.
and he's here. Your dad has to wait 2 hours.
No, they were right across from the museum. Literally, they could see me through the windows
Got it.
of the museum, and just had to sit there for 2 hours.
I couldn't do it.
Got it.
I know I would disobey whatever, and I would get to you if you're my daughter. That's not the right thing to do in a situation like that, obviously. But
That's the instinct.
that's the instinct, right? That's the instinct. 3 hours.
Yeah.
These parents get notified that something's going on, and then we don't longer have to worry about the threat.
Yeah.
And listen, we cannot forget the citizen that saw this animal walking down the street, and the one thing that caused that phone call to our bomb ass dispatch center was red socks.
Yeah, the red shoes.
Red shoes.
Yep.
Red shoes.
Yep.
Red shoes. So now it's wild to watch a community, right? Right, we have our daily problems, right? We're pissed because the garbage isn't picked up. Our neighbor's too loud. Loud parties, this and that, or whatever. And then something like this happens, and it's not even important. All the bull crap is not even important anymore. It's how do we come together and stop people from losing their life? And this citizen saw red shoes and didn't blow it off, and was like, and this is 3 hours later. It's like, for all intents and purposes, why would this person be where he was at that time? And the person calls, and that's what led us to encounter him. And then ultimately he took his own life. That person, I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
You talk about the community coming out big, big, big. Imagine they don't see him.
Right.
And I think that's like the play of the game. You know what I mean? Right. Outside of all the other heroic and outstanding stuff that happened during that incident, that citizen, man, thank you so much. Right?
That's right.
Wow. Crazy.
So, McKenzie, what, looking ahead after the incident, and you had time to process and realize that you were safe, and, the details of the incident are unfolding, how did you feel? What were you able to process, or what was some of the feedback that you had about processing it after the words down the road?
I can say that I was really blessed with my family in that. My brother, he lived over in Utah at the time still, and my aunt got him a ticket. He was there the next day.
Right on.
So it was the entire family together. And it was probably not the next day following the shooting, but right after. My mom was really adamant about letting me get outside to experience public that wasn't a threat.
Right on.
and just trying to get me out of there being like, that was abnormal. That is not normal. And trying to get me more comfortable with what is normal everyday life, which was me going to Noodles and Company and just getting spaghetti.
Yeah.
A small little comfort, but trying to get me used to the noise, the sounds. Again, like that was probably the biggest thing that was able to help me. As well as she helped me find a therapist that specialized in EMDR. Specifically, that technique helped me a ton. EMDR being like eye movement, rapid desensitization.
Yep.
And it was super helpful in getting me feeling like if something loud happened near me, it wasn't a gunshot.
Right.
Or if it was a long hallway, someone's not going to jump out and like kill me. Those were the thoughts that were very prevalent, was that even this small action where I walk down a hallway, very wide hallway as it is, but first thought was someone's going to jump out and I'm going to be dead.
Right.
But those like therapies really helped me with that, along with just getting used to the different like aspects, dark nights, and being by myself at night is still very hard. That's pretty normal. That was something that can't really be gone away with EMDR.
Right.
But learning to get comfortable with not feeling like every turn I take is going to be my last kind of thing. As well as my professor that I was with the shooting, he's an absolute trooper. And like I kind of wish that I could have seen him again. I haven't seen him since, unfortunately. But he kept teaching that class. He taught it until the very end of the semester, and I stuck with that class till the very end semester. And so it was just us together, not really doing any tests or any homework or anything like that. It was just him teaching for the last time before he retired and being with any of the students that wanted to stay with him.
Wow. So were you guys relieved of your like academic responsibilities after the shooting? Did classes get suspended? How did it work out for you as far as your responsibility for school and then your need to heal from this?
So I don't think it was enough, but they did give us some.
Okay.
They gave us a week off following the shooting, which is, but definitely helped for those that maybe weren't directly involved, but definitely was helpful. They gave anyone that was in the classroom the opportunity to drop the class entirely, no issue, or change classes, or continue with that class. Grades for that semester alone was pass or fail. It was just if you, a lot of the times we were given the opportunity, at least I did, for all my professors, was that I told them that I was like directly in the classroom.
Yep.
And I was like, I just want you to know this, and like this is what I experienced and everything. And I think that that's what got me through that, was that none of them did grades for me for the rest of that semester, pretty much.
Wow.
It was just, you passed. My social work professor was a really big help in that. He was my first social work professor that I had.
Yeah.
And he was super helpful with getting me in contact with administration and anyone that might be able to help me.
Yeah.
And kind of get the word out and everything. So
what was his name? Do you remember?
Glenn Stutzky.
Wow. And logistically for MSU, it's a nightmare, right? I mean, it's a business. The education business it has to keep moving. Rob and I, how many times do we police a homicide on Monday and then be back to work on Tuesday?
Man. Sometimes it's the same. Sometimes it's the same shift.
Yeah.
Depending on what your responsibilities are or whatever, you know what I mean? You could be going from a homicide to a lost kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a real thing, man. We definitely hear you on that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and unfortunately, you know, I appreciate what you said, bro. Like just Lansing PD, there's 200 sworn cops or so, you know, give or take. But MSU, we're talking thousands of people, and we all have our different personalities and different triggers and different, you know, different things that we need for, you know, improving our mental health in a critical incident, right? So I hear you that this is such a huge scale. It's hard to get it right.
Yeah.
Right. It's when I say get it right, it's hard to get it right for everyone.
Yeah.
I will say this: our response, the initial immediate response, there's nothing about that could have been better.
Right.
I was there I was the first wave of first responders that went right down the throat of that thing, and I can tell you that there was zero hesitation.
Right.
And that part of it was the single most courageous thing I've ever seen. Because at that moment in time at NMSU campus, that is the most dangerous place in the country.
Right.
You have a mass shooter looking to take people out, and we're going right down the throat of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, and we did.
Yep.
And we gave it everything we had in the assisting agencies and all of that. Now, so I don't look at that night with you know, a critical eye of, man, you know, if we would have did this or we should have did that. I don't have any of that. I have no look back, no regrets, no anything. I'm extremely proud of the men and women that I served with that night.
Yep.
We gave it everything we had.
Yeah.
With law enforcement, I will completely agree on that one. It was very like quick. I was like super grateful for when SWAT came in
Yep.
and everything, but it was just very much like how safe I felt in a museum built of glass.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Exactly. I know, you know, McKenzie knows there are things in the aftermath, in the after incident that could have been improved.
Oh yeah.
And what is your perspective as a survivor who was on the ground floor, literally ground zero, as people are losing their lives and being critically injured? What is your takeaway of what could have been better, you know, post incident?
I would say probably on the university side.
Yeah, tell us about that.
I think the university was very underprepared in the sense of it, but from what like they did, it was helpful. I just think that there was definitely room for improvement. So for us survivors, it took them about 2 months for the university to reach out to us separately from the masses. And I think that was poor on their part. It shouldn't have taken that long specifically. But it was definitely probably the more troublesome, especially because my family and I were reaching out 2 weeks after the shooting happened, being like, is something happening? What's going on? Like, was something going to be done for the students that were directly impacted and everything? I think the Spartan Strong Fund was phenomenal. I think that was super helpful and everything. However, their approach to giving money, I think, could have been improved. One thing that specifically is still hurtful from MSU was them kind of monetizing the individuals that weren't physically harmed, but were in the classrooms. Specifically for individuals like me who weren't harmed in it, but were identified as like strictly hurt, we were given $8,000 one time, and that was it. That was the money that they gave us as compensation in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that is appalling.
Yeah.
That, in my mind, that is what I cued MSU's idea of a person. That's how much I meant to them. And that is horrific. if that is essentially what they're assuming. And that might not have been what their intentions were,
Right.
but to someone who went through that horrific experience, how else am I really supposed to take that? I'm not saying I wasn't appreciative of it. Heck no, it helped me out, for sure. But I don't think that they had done enough for us. It was $2 million they raised, $8,000 between 50 people that they identified, barely even fractions that. And that is horrible. But in addition to that, having to continue to ask as a person directly impacted, I think is not appropriate whatsoever. It should be an initiative for MSU to want to support their students, and especially the students that were directly impacted by the shooting. I think that could have been dealt very much easier. I will say they did do a very good job of listening to input that the students that include myself that have reached out to them.
That's huge.
For example, the change within Berkey that they remodeled the first floor to be an opened concept area, I was able to assist in that.
Oh, nice.
And being part of the small group that was like pushing for either the demolishing of Berkey or complete change and shutdown of Berkey. So, yeah.
So, you know, anybody that might hear this and might be faculty at MSU or administration over at MSU, if there's a profession that requires a thick skin, it's an administrator at a college university. They shouldn't be offended by the fact that your opinion is, hey, you got a lot of stuff right, but there was other stuff that needed to improve. When we look at any critical incident, anything that we've responded to, Rob and I are our worst self-critics, right? We would always say, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. Or maybe I should have done this, or maybe I should have taken this approach. That's called improvement. You know, if a university is going to turn their back and say, no, we did it right, and next, you know, I mean, that this is one of those situations that hopefully never ever happens again on that campus. But heaven forbid it does. I've got to believe that administration is going to remember the things that they could have done better, and that they will do them better next time.
I will say that it was administration a lot of time that felt like it ignored students. The faculty, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I had never felt more supportive by professors, by anyone in faculty, whether that was an advisor all the way to my like specific professors.
Yeah.
They had my back 110%.
Yeah.
Anyone in the social work programs and majors, they were gun-ho for wanting to
That's
help
awesome.
me. It was very supportive. And if I asked, say, do you know who I can reach out to this? 24 hours contact information.
Right.
Very amazing for the faculty.
Yeah.
But it was outside of your immediate faculty where the disconnect was, so to speak. You didn't have a chance to feel heard.
Yeah.
Right? We Kaz and I have seen that on the street thousands and thousands of times in talking to someone either in crisis or a critical incident or whatever it is. You know, we're not just checking boxes on a form to take a report. We're dealing with somebody's life in the balance here, right? And we have to afford them the opportunity as long as we can to get them a chance to explain in detail what happened through their lens and ultimately what they want. That segues for me perfectly into what we are the most excited about through your eyes. And what I mean by that is you have done a phenomenal job explaining that I don't feel like I've been adequately heard. And because of that, I know, and this is what I hear you saying, but I definitely want you to explain it in your own words. Even though I don't feel heard, my if I feel that way, I know that there's a lot of people that were there or impacted similarly that they probably feel just as unheard, if not more than I do. And you approached Kaz and I on an idea that you have as a tribute that will be a way to involve others. And I would really, I can't wait for you to explain what your vision is for this tribute, because we could not be more excited to be part of it. And ultimately, I think that it is a phenomenal way to help leverage people feeling heard with this incident.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got the opportunity myself to actually meet once again with some of my other survivors. And I pitched them this idea as well to see if they would be willing to do it. And a couple of them said yes, for sure. And I was super excited about that. But my idea was that if I could get them to explain kind of where they were and express kind of what they felt during that, as well as how they are doing now. Right. And seeing, just kind of giving them a platform to feel as if they aren't alone in it, because I, for the longest time, did. I was super happy to hear that my emotions and frustrations were shared among others, and just having that platform and opportunity to even connect with them felt phenomenal. And I want to give that kind of platform to my other survivors, because I know some of them, they haven't had the opportunity to reach back out or haven't had the platform to feel as if they could come on. Yep. And like my hope is just kind of to give the survivors, it doesn't have to be kind of like a video or like of their face. It can just be voice, but something that expresses how they are, where they are now, just to see that we are people.
Yep. What I want to hear is where you at today.
Yeah, man.
Like where are you going today? You graduated from MSU,
and
right?
That's what prompted all this.
Yeah.
And you and I, it's different, man, but it's the same. And this is what I mean. When you and I retired, right, we got closer and closer and closer to retirement, and we looked and we said, "This is it."
Yeah.
Right. That's what prompted her emotion, because she's graduating and she's thinking of herself crossing the stage and looking at this incident that happened in 2013. And she's graduating and she's saying, "I'm moving on and this is it."
Yeah. That contingency of LPD officers walking through your graduation was so cool. It was. We sat there and
it was a great day.
And I thought the people that spoke at your graduation, I can't remember the guy who was the keynote speaker. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
But it was a long graduation, right? A lot of kids graduated. But the look on your face, it had nothing to do with the incident. It had everything to do with where am I going tomorrow, and talking with your family. You know, we didn't talk much in Breslin Center about the event, because that wasn't why we were there. We were there because you decided that you were going to continue in your life towards the goals that you had. I would love to hear the stories of the other survivors and how what they experience, what their goals are in the future. And, shout out to MSU. I mean, because they did do some things right.
They did.
And let's hope that in the future, if they're ever challenged with anything that has as a tone where victims are involved, that they understand that listening to other people is a huge thing, especially the victims and people that were on the outside of it. You know what I mean?
I will add, there was one person that was specifically from like MSU that they completely hit the nail on the head. Yeah. They reached out to me consistently. They were excited to always have a conversation with me, and that was Bailey Akers.
Really?
She works with the new department that they made for this incident that happened to support students, and she helped me every step of the way that I wanted to get in contact with the students. Every step of the way. Completely support.
Ultimately, there's no better feeling than including someone else and seeing it benefit someone else. And ultimately, that's where you're hardwired with a degree in social work.
Yeah.
You are the quintessential giver-backer
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we love that about you. And that's why we're super honored to have you here. We thank you so much, McKenzie, for we cross paths on very thin threads.
Yeah.
But man, are we glad that we did and that you reached out, and looking forward to helping you with the tribute that you want to do, and ultimately with the social work degree and background and everything. I think that it would probably be even better for you to think about, maybe we can include the tribute to what has helped you, the individual, that you would like to share with other survivors, because maybe somebody else out there is struggling on a similar level. And if they hear what has helped someone else, maybe that can help them too.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
This was fun.
My man. Thank you.
Yep, no doubt.
Go ahead. Wrap us up. What do you got? Kaz's Corner, man. What do you got?
So listen, unfortunately, these things happen pretty regularly here in our country, and anybody that might listen to this podcast, I would absolutely suggest approaching it the way that McKenzie did. There is no place for silence, for pride. You know, if you're hurting, if you're traumatized and you don't know, what resource, reach out and keep reaching out until you find it, because some of these students could have been so redirected that they didn't finish their college degree, but that's not the case. And I'm hoping that when we do this tribute, we can emphasize that point, that regardless of whatever traumatic experience you might have in your life, the sun will always come up tomorrow.
That's right.
And if you've got support, if you've got a family, if you've got a friend, whatever it is, find it and look forward to that sun coming up, because I promise you it will.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
McKenzie, you're a rock star. Go green.
Go white.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.